And I remember looking at it and going, oh shit, what happened? What happened? Because the last time you were in here, you were talking about how you didn't want to work out.
Yeah.
Because it would survive.
Jake Paul gets roasted by Joe Rogan after sparring disaster with Mike Tyson. Jake the roast, Paul just got absolutely obliterated verbally by Joe Rogan. After failing to last even a minute in a sparring session with none other than Mike Tyson, the self-proclaimed fighter, who's been hyping up a match with the legendary heavyweight in front of millions. Got caught in what was supposed to be a warm-up. Yes, a warm-up. Rogan had already warned Jake not to take Tyson lightly. And now he's having a field day roasting Jake's pissized ego for ignoring that advice. Let's be honest, canceling the actual fight might have saved Jake from global embarrassment. But not from the internet's relentless roast fest. Instead of gaining sympathy or clout, Jake is now the punchline of every late-night joke and meme. If time machines existed, he'd probably sprint into one just to unsay Tyson's name in the first place. Tyson's health scare puts fight on hold, ironically. This chaos unfolded just as Mike Tyson himself faced a real scare. On a flight from Miami to Los Angeles, the boxing icon suddenly felt nauseous and dizzy. It turned out to be a flare-up from an ulcer, painful sore on the stomach lining. Doctors checked him out as soon as the plane landed and advised him to ease up on his training immediately. The health issue, serious enough to disrupt Tyson's schedule, came only 2 months before the much-hyped fight with Jake. As a result, the July 20th match was postponed, disappointing fans around the world. While many showed love and support for Tyson, completely understanding that health comes first, others began questioning whether a 58-year-old should even be stepping back into the ring, especially against someone much younger. Still, Tyson isn't backing down. Despite the setback, he's remained confident, assuring fans that he'll make a full recovery and return to training soon. Whether or not Jake will still be interested or even allowed to fight after this mess remains to be seen.
Same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
Mike Tyson's determination to stay in the fight game despite his recent health scare is a true testament to his legendary toughness. He thanked fans for their overwhelming support and made it clear that this was just a temporary setback. Tyson expressed confidence that he'd be back to his full training routine soon and ready for the rescheduled bout. Jake Paul, for his part, supported the postponement, saying he wanted to face Tyson at his absolute best, no excuses. His comments showed respect for Tyson's legacy and a genuine desire to prove himself against a fully fit opponent. However, the unexpected delay left Jake Paul, known for his media savvy and relentless self-promotion, a tough spot. The original July 20th, 2024 fight date wasn't just another event for him. It was the climax of months of intense training and nonstop hype building. When news broke of the postponement, Jake expressed both disappointment and understanding. Publicly, he played the role of the good sport, showing maturity and patience as fans now wait for a new date to be announced.
Obviously, devastating news. I'm heartbroken, speechless, gutted. We've been working so hard over here, everyone in this camp, and I just feel bad for everyone involved in this event, the whole undercard. Opportunity has been ripped from all of us, but I do value Mike's health first and foremost. Love that guy. I have so much respect for him, and I want Mike to be healthy. And he says he still is going to knock me out, and I bought myself some time. So Mike is still talking shit over there. But Mike, if you want to do this, like you said, behind closed doors, behind the scenes, you've said you want to do this in Q4. You just need a little bit of time. So I'm ready whenever you are. This is too big of an opportunity. I think this fight's going to change the world, and I turn all my L's into W's. That's a motto I live by. The universe makes no mistakes, so let's see what's in store. But sorry this didn't work out. To everyone, the fans, love you guys.
But let's be real, the delay was a major blow to Jake Paul. This guy thrives on constant media buzz. And suddenly, his hype train screeched to a halt. Refusing to be pushed out of the spotlight, Jake got creative. Determined to stay relevant, he floated the idea of a private sparring session with Tyson, showing that he was flexible and still hungry for action. He even publicly challenged Tyson, saying, "Mike, if you want to do this behind closed doors like you said, I'm ready if you are. I think this is going to be a huge opportunity." Classic Jake always finding a way to spin the moment. It was a savvy move that highlighted his talent for strategic self-promotion. By pushing for a sparring session, he kept the narrative alive and the media talking, refusing to let public interest fade. Jake knew exactly how fast the spotlight can shift, and he wasn't about to let it. The sparring session that shook everyone on June 26, 2024, That private sparring session actually happened and it quickly became the stuff of legend. Held in a secret location with only a few trusted trainers and insiders present, the tension in the room was palpable. It wasn't just a warm-up, it was a symbolic clash of generations. From the moment the gloves were up, it was obvious. Mike Tyson hadn't lost his edge. Despite pushing 60, his speed and raw power were jaw-dropping. As the session kicked off, Tyson launched a lightning-fast barrage of punches that caught Jake completely off. Witnesses said Paul looked like a deer in headlights, stunned by the ferocity and precision of Tyson's strikes. Within moments, it was over. Tyson delivered a knockout blow so fast and so clean, it left the room in stunned silence. The sparring match may have been behind closed doors, but word spread quickly. Jake Paul, who'd been barking about taking on Tyson for months, now had a first-hand taste of what it meant to step into the ring with a legend.
No way I would want to do that.
Described the scene with a mix of awe and amusement. According to Roach, Tyson's performance was nothing short of humiliating for Jake Paul, who hit the canvas before he even realized what was coming. After delivering the crushing blow, Tyson didn't stick around to gloat. He simply asked to leave the gym.com and collected, like he'd just wrapped up a casual workout. No big deal for Iron Mike. It was just another day at the office.
You have to remember that. My mother, I have to decimate her as well. This is business. It's just business. Nothing personal.
So when you brought your feelings into the ring, did that interfere with your ability to win?
Absolutely, yeah. Because once your feelings are in the ring, you think about, wow, I don't want to get hit, I'm this and that, and you're apprehensive.
And then there's Joe Rogan, the guy who saw this train wreck coming from a mile away. He's not just a podcaster and UFC commentator, he's basically the Gandalf of combat sports. With black belts in both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Taekwondo, Joe's been around the fight game long enough to know when someone's biting off more than they can chew. His insights are considered gospel in the fight community. So when Rogan started raising red flags about Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson, you'd think Jake might take the hint. Spoiler, he didn't. Joe didn't hold back either. He's got a talent for dissecting fighters with laser accuracy, and from the start, he saw this ending badly for Jake. He flat out said, "This isn't just a fight. This is a bad idea with gloves on."
Even if Tyson's 57, just the fact that he's willing to actually take a chance at Mike Tyson not being able to do what he used to do, because that's what he's doing. The gamble is like.
Rogan didn't stop there. He pointed out that while Jake Paul has managed to make a name for himself in boxing, his victories have mostly come against opponents who don't even belong in the same stratosphere as Mike Tyson. Let's be honest, beat up YouTubers and semi-retired MMA fighters is a far cry from trading blows with one of the most feared heavyweight champions in history. Joe's critique wasn't just casual commentary, it was a masterclass in why Jake was completely out of his depth. And he didn't just talk about skill gaps. Rogan zeroed in on Tyson's mindset, the psychological edge that made him a legend. Tyson, even at nearly 60, is in full savage mode, mentally dialing back to his prime days with that same ruthless intensity and aggression. His own words were chilling. "I just eat raw meat because that's what I'm going to eat when I fight. I'm going to eat him." That's not trash talk. That's a glimpse into the psyche of a predator. Let's not forget, Tyson's record speaks volumes: 50 wins, 44 by knockout. Behind that power is a deep well of tactical knowledge, timing, and fight IQ. He knows how to adapt, how to find weaknesses, and how to punish opponents in ways that leave them questioning their life choices. Jake Paul, with his relatively shallow fight resume, is swimming in shark-infested waters. Joe Rogan, a walking encyclopedia of fight history, once painted a vivid picture of what happens when someone underestimates Tyson. He brought up the infamous bout between Mike Tyson and Marvis Frazier, the son of legendary heavyweight Joe Frazier, on July 26, 1986. Joe Frazier had hyped Marvis up like he was a bulldozer, ready to crush Tyson, whom he dismissed as nothing more than a wheelbarrow. Big mistake. Tyson turned that narrative into dust in just under 30 seconds. Rogan described it like watching a public execution. Tyson stepped into the ring, cornered Marvis, and unleashed a barrage so fast and so brutal that Marvis was out before he even hit the canvas. It was raw destruction. And it wasn't a one-off. Tyson's career is littered with moments of sheer savagery. Just look at his November 22, 1986 fight against Trevor Berbick. Tyson landed 77 punches to Berbick's 16. His final blow, a short hook to the temple, sent Berbick to the canvas 3 times in one collapse. Then there was the legendary June 27, 1988 fight against Michael Spinks, which ended in just 91 seconds with one of the most devastating knockouts in boxing history. That's the kind of force Jake Paul was messing with. And Joe Rogan, the guy who's seen it all, made it crystal clear. Stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson isn't just risky, it's a career-altering gamble.
I submit that Mike Tyson, the Mike Tyson that won the title against Trevor Berbick, the Mike Tyson that beat Larry Holmes, I think that Mike Tyson is the best heavyweight of all time.
Joe Rogan has long emphasized that Mike Tyson's ferocity wasn't just physical, it was deeply psychological. Even as Tyson aged, the way he spoke about training would send chills down the spine of most fighters. That's the Tyson mindset: relentless, raw, and utterly terrifying. His list of obliterated opponents reads like a highlight reel of destruction. Take Larry Holmes, for example. On January 22, 1988, Holmes himself, a former heavyweight champion, tried to weather Tyson's storm. He was knocked out in the fourth round. Then there was Frank Bruno. In their first clash on February 25, 1989, Bruno briefly stunned Tyson. But the moment passed quickly. Tyson recovered, came back harder, and stopped him in the fifth round. These historic beatdowns are exactly why Rogan's warnings to Jake Paul have been so intense. Tyson isn't just a retired fighter making a comeback. He's a force of nature, with a legacy built on raw power and psychological domination. Rogan knows the danger Tyson brings, even today. Despite his age, Tyson's training is no joke. His mentality, combined with decades of fight experience and explosive power, makes him a lethal opponent.
If I was Jake Paul right now, I would be shitting my pants.
Moreover, Joe Rogan, always the straight shooter, wrapped up the entire Tyson debate with one unforgettable killer line.
I never saw anybody who looked like Mike Tyson in his prime. I think you can't maintain the kind of focus that was required to be this guy.
And honestly, when Joe Rogan speaks especially about combat sports people, listen. His deep respect for Tyson shapes how he views modern fighters like Jake Paul. Rogan doesn't sugarcoat the reality. There's a huge mismatch between Paul's inexperience and Tyson's legendary status. He's blunt about how Tyson's prime focus and ferocity could flatten just about anyone, especially someone like Paul, who's never faced a fighter of Tyson's caliber. Rogan's insights aren't just nostalgic reflections. They're a clear-eyed reminder of what true greatness really looks like. Tyson's legacy sets a high bar, one that many dream of reaching, but few ever do. His fights weren't just matches. They were masterclasses in controlled aggression and unmatched skill. That's why Rogan's words carry so much weight. He's seen the best of the best and knows what it takes to stay on top. In a world where fighters come and go, Tyson's name still echoes loudly, and commentators like Rogan play a big role in keeping that flame alive. If you're nodding along with Joe and loving what he's sharing, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're all in this together.